Today we bring you a book that summarizes seventh sense under the subheadings Power, Wealth, and the World. This book will cultivate a special spirit beyond what you were born with. We know that human beings have 5 senses. Sight for hearing, hearing for taste, smell for life, taste for taste, and sense for touch. People use these 5 senses to get different emotions from the outside world. The 6th sense is also a feeling that we often talk about, referring to feelings or omens for something. There are some things we cannot explain, but we seem to feel that something is going to happen or that someone is following us behind a special feeling that is difficult to interpret. We often call it intuition. 6th, what does the 7th sense, the title of this book, mean? In this book, the author links it to a world of unlimited communication that we all know as the internet. The 7th sense does not have a clear meaning. They like to use this word to interpret special abilities that are difficult to describe. For example, in the language of psychology, the 7th sense is defined as the ability to communicate with oneself. Historians define the 7th sense as the ability to discern history and know the cycle of natural law, while others say the 7th sense refers to the ability to predict the future, etc. Despite the different interpretations, here the author also gives a separate personal definition of this 7th sense. He defines it as the ability to predict and analyze the relationship between information and events on the internet. We give an example to explain this word. For example, a young man sitting in a coffee shop drinking coffee suddenly sees a mobile phone charger that has been put on public display and suddenly thinks of a word to share. It can be shared without having to own it. This can be a good business model. Obviously, there is a program to rent a phone charger in restaurants, clubs, and so on. But if a businessman sees these things and can remember where this product is made, how much capital is sold, how much profit, and if it is sold online, can it be sold, you see? The ability to imagine boundless opportunities based on such an internet principle is called the 7th sense. When it comes to the power of the internet, you have probably heard of it. The 6 degrees of separation principle states that if we want to know someone in the world, no matter who they are, on average, only 6 people will find them. The gap between you and former US President Barack Obama, the gap between you and your siblings who disappeared more than 20 years ago, etc. If you want to find the average, ask for clues from 6 people in a row, and you will get to meet them. This does not include the advent of technology and social media, which allow people to communicate more easily. We now have social networks like Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. that make connecting with us and anyone else in the world easier. Not only do they connect people and people, they also connect devices and devices, people and devices, such as smart home technology, where you can use the phone to control the air conditioner, refrigerator, and artificial intelligence company, Neuralink artificial intelligence brain. The book is the work of Joshua Cooper Ramo, an American aristocrat who is the CEO of Kissinger Associates and a well-known author who has authored 2 other popular books, No Visible Horizon and The Ages of the Unthinkable. The author suggests that in the future, people will be divided into 2 categories. The first category is most people who are not interested in or disregard communication and the internet. They live in a society, but only as consumers, and do as they please. Another type of person is a minority of people who react and are involved in creating new things for people to interact with. They are the kind of people who are very curious and highly creative. I will be the ruler of the world with a lot of wealth. A person who can truly change the world. A person with the seventh sense. Why do writers dare to say so? What arguments does he have? How can we train ourselves to have a seventh sense? In the following, I will mention 3 main points in this book to share with you all. In the first part, we look at how the internet can make a story modify the raw material. The internet has evolved over the years, and what it has influenced in human life is no small feat. Most people think that when it comes to the internet, there is nothing more than an app, a website, and a product or service. But the author says it is not as easy as we think. To understand it in depth, one must first understand that when the internet is large, with the participation of many users, it is easy to change one thing or one sector. It is like water when it goes down to zero, becomes frozen, or rises to a high point and splits into steam. Whenever it changes, it is no longer the system it was before, and it could pose a serious threat to any sector. This is a bit difficult to understand, so let's look at an example. English is an international language used in general communication and the most spoken language in the world. English is like a nursery for people from all over the world to communicate, do business, and live together. The more you use English, the more you learn it. Some Americans are worried that one day another language will emerge that could replace English as the most widely used foreign language in the world, either Chinese or Spanish. In fact, there is nothing to worry about. It is not easy to change the people of the world to adopt any language as a second foreign language. You look at so many countries in the world. People who know a lot of English want to change their habits to speak another language, which is not easy. This is why newly developed countries such as the United States, Singapore, etc., use English as the official language, because just by choosing English as the official language of communication, they have an advantage over hundreds of other countries. Do not speak English already. Diplomatic relations are smoother and more resourceful, but one product, Google Translate, has broken the barriers to communication. You just speak or write the text in your native language. It can be translated into any language you want. So learning English is not another good and rare condition. But what we cannot imagine is that the language that replaces English is not Chinese, Spanish, or any other language in the world. Instead, it's lost at the hands of a few technicians who are coding Google Translate. On the other hand, day by day, it is getting smarter, with more and more data, and translation from one language to another is more accurate and reliable than humans. Innovative ideas, coupled with the favorable factors of the internet infrastructure, lead to many unimaginable achievements. Nowadays, knowing a foreign language is no longer considered a strength or a special ability. What will people spend in the future? The authors suggest that people should spend more time learning computer languages. Internet languages can be a common language to communicate with each other without limits. As more and more people use the language, it will be as advanced as English in the past. So computer science, the internet, and the field of artificial intelligence will explode at unimaginable speeds. It can replace many jobs, cause the loss of some sectors, or may create new sectors in the future. Let's take a look at AlphaGo, a robot made by Google. In 2015, the robot played chess, defeating the Korean chess king 4-1. In his brain, he put in numbers and formulas for him to learn to analyze and make decisions based on people. Surprisingly, a few years later, the next generation of AlphaGo robots, called the AlphaZero, thousands of times more powerful and intelligent than the AlphaGo, were left to be researched by do not let it learn to imitate people. This means that its capabilities and intelligence are infinitely wide. Let us look at another example from this book. In the wake of the 2008 global economic crisis, the United States experienced severe inflation, and market prices plummeted. The first reason is because there is no income. Do not dare to spend lavishly. And the other reason is that it is thought that soon all those goods will be cheaper. Non-cash flow hinders the economy. How can the US government deal with this? There is nothing more than printing extra money. They push the money into a huge market, which in the dollar market increased from 800 trillion to 4 trillion. With this much money flowing into the market, people will have more money than before, and they may dare to spend more than before. But in fact, they still do not spend money to save everyone. Prices are still cheap, and money is still not circulating. What is the reason? Many economists analyzed the issue and later found that it was because they did not consider the advent of the internet. It is forgotten that 2008 was a time when the internet exploded, connecting and trading with each other around the world. In the past, every time there was inflation, the government started printing more banknotes to counter the economy. Doing so often has two consequences. First, the rich will be richer, and second, the poor will be poorer. Why? What if the money was distributed to everyone in equal amounts? I want to tell you that the result remains the same. The rich get richer, and the poor get poorer. Because if you give $1 to the rich will save it. And the poor will spend it, and in the end, it will flow into the rich man's pocket in some way. It is not different from throwing coins into the sky. Some hold big bucks and earn a lot of money, while others hold small bucks and earn less. This is a resource for information and the various knowledge that they have. The second result is that the internet will increase supply beyond demand. We all know that in the market, the price of a product varies according to supply and demand. It's like the price of ice cream sold on the street. So summer is definitely better, and winter is more expensive. When the government prints too much money on the market and sends it to the market through low-interest banks, then smart businessmen will come to borrow money from the bank to open factories all over the country. Other countries are also available, which will increase the supply of products in excess of demand because there is no one to withdraw money to buy them. Less job opportunities, less affordability, and more product inflows make the economy worse. So no matter how much the government invests in the market, it is not possible to solve this problem because of the advent of the internet, the fast flow of information, and the quick decisions. It is not like the global economic crisis of the last century. In conclusion, this first part wants to show us that the internet can turn a company, a sector, or the world upside down. As long as there is a turning point, there will be different results. So in this age of the internet, we need to have another special ability to learn to imagine, to learn to judge, and to learn to predict a network and its variations. In particular, the internet itself, which is what the author calls the second sense. In the second part, if we go back years to the days when there was no internet, what do you think was the biggest difference between the past and the present? You may be reminded of many things, such as that now it is easier to shop and find information faster. But in fact, the biggest difference is that the internet age has made time shorter. At this point, we need to explain a little bit. In the past, People struggled to seize territory to show their power and ownership. Why take over the land? Because occupying land is tantamount to gaining people. Being able to control people means gaining power and wealth. But when the internet is not the same, even if they do not own something. For example, if I create a virus on your computer, I will be able to take control of your computer, even if it does not belong to me. Go to their account under the pretext that it is easy to pay. But what they really want is our cash flow in their account. To put it more simply, the money is yours, but they can use it. You will be surprised to learn that the largest real estate company in the world is Airbnb. The company with the most taxes in the world is Uber, and the largest market in the world is not Walmart, but Amazon. In warfare, too, when warplanes are launched from the ground into the sky, any country with a strong air force will have an advantage. But now, in the age of technology, the most important resource is information. The more information you have, the faster and more powerful your decisions will be. So do not wonder why the United States and China are so vying for 5G technology. Because in this era, wanting to wage war on a country does not need to bleed anymore. Just seizing the banking system, data collection system, telecommunications system, etc., can completely control a country. In this day and age, the only thing that can make a person, a company, or a country win is the time when those who act fast and make quick decisions will have an advantage over others, and the consequence of that decision is data. The one who grasps the data is the winner. The authors understand that the internet not only shortens the time, but it also gives us unlimited knowledge. You want to learn anything through mobile phones, as long as we have enough internet and commitment. You can use that time to gain new knowledge. Therefore, those who have a lot of curiosity can use the internet to increase their self-efficacy. And as a result, they can have an advantage over the average person in the market competition, whether in work or business, because they have information. The more they know, the more. What humanity has been waiting for thousands of years, we can now achieve, and people with magical eyes can see the world wherever they are and have magical ears that can hear information, no matter how far apart they are. In general, the authors understand that the core values of technology and the internet today are shortening the time. No matter how advanced the technology is, its main purpose is to meet the needs of people who use short time to do things. Much makes life better. In the third part, we come to the last point. The advent of the internet is a redistribution of power. What does this mean? In the past, power was held by those who had money and power. But now, and in the future, those who can control the world are the ones who are influential. When you influence others, it means you have money and power. Why say that? Because in the age of the internet, influential people can be more salty than the rich and powerful. Apparently, like the Chinese social network WeChat, even the government has to sit at the table with them because what they have is more than 100 million WeChat users. And that is power. What kind of people or companies can have such power? The author states that only when you are first and foremost in the field can you gain such power. And in general, those who stand in the first place always get a bigger reward than those who stand in the 2nd to 10th place. Plus, it is very difficult to catch up. For example, Microsoft Word may take a lot of time and millions of dollars to get started in the beginning, but many others may have created similar programs when Microsoft Office was installed. Already in the millions of computers, it is very difficult for other companies to compete, And if you want to compete, you have to create a separate market, create an operating system, and create your own computer like Apple. The power of the internet and human-to-human communication makes it possible for an item or an application to grow faster than ever before. Android and Android users alike are communicating so easily because the big companies are trying their best to get users of their ecosystem, which is behind the fact that they want to collect data from users. And when a company has a good operating system that runs fast and captures a considerable amount of market share, the gap between the first and second ones will widen, giving some companies a strong advantage over their competitors, until there is concern that the government will take measures to prevent these companies from doing anything arbitrary. This measure is called antitrust, as in the case of Facebook and Alibaba. All in all, in the internet world, connections create powerful influences, and those influences bring enormous power and wealth. An individual or a small company can also have the opportunity to create great and famous stories. People who get a lot of attention, software that pulls people to spend hours, and companies with a lot of user data are the ones who can control the world in the future. Finally, we briefly review the main points of this book. The seventh sense refers to the ability to analyze and predict what is going on the internet, the ability to anticipate opportunities in this new age. We have brought 3 important points to share with you all. First, the internet can make a difference. A simple example is when an application or website explodes. It is not just an application. It can be a community or a world that can pose a threat to other sectors, such as food delivery programs, decreased restaurant sales, taxi call programs, tricycle riders out of work, and so on. Second, the internet makes time shorter. Despite the new and different technologies, its goal is to make people's lives easier, allowing them to do more things in less time. Third, the internet is redistributing power like a shuffle. A small company can also do great things. Those who can create more powerful networks are equal in power and wealth.